Tons more buffs, nerfs and changes are arriving this week in patch 1370. So let's take a look at how they affect our tier list this week. We'll go over each champion's individual changes in the respective roles parts of the video. But to sum it up quickly, here's all the changes. Starting off with the buffs, we've got Elise, Gnar, Lux, Orianna, Samira, Twisted Fate, Tryndamere, Vex and Zoe. Then we've got the nerfs, which are Kayn, Kha'Zix, Kindred, Neferi and Xerath. Champions receiving other changes are Aatrox, Akshan, Blitzcrank, Hecarim, Quinn, Vi and Xin Zhao. Immortal, Shieldbow, Goredrinker and Stridebreaker are being buffed, and Bloodthirster, Evanshroud, Futures Market and Static Shiv are being nerfed. Spear of Shojin and Duskblade are also receiving some more tweaks and changes too. So let's get into it and start off with the top lane as always, and in the S tier we have Aatrox, Camille, Darius, Fiora, Illaoi, Kled, Malphite, Maokai, Olaf, Poppy and Renekton. Gnar moves up from C to B with the buffs to his Mega Gnar Q and W. Tryndamere moves up from C to A with a juicy buff to his attack range. And Quinn moves down from S to A with some damage reduction on her Q and her E. AD bruisers like Kled, Jax, Set and Aatrox all move up this week with the item buffs. Our pick of the patch this week though just has to be Renekton. He's been an incredibly consistent blind pickable choice in both of the solo lanes for a while now, and despite not having the best scaling, he has tons of early game damage, fantastic and reliable gank setup with his point and click stun, and he can easily run away with games once he starts snowballing. The buffs to the fighter items like Goredrinker, which is one of his best options, are only going to make him even better. If you do want to see the best Renekton builds and runes, then make sure you click the link in the description and download our desktop app. It's really simple, you just press import to client to get all the best builds straight into Champion Select and take them with you into your next game, so don't miss out. Neferi is getting nerfed yet again, and last time round the changes didn't make any difference whatsoever. This time though, it's her base HP, her passive, her Q2 and her E all being hit pretty hard. And although this may be wishful thinking, we expect this to knock her down a fair bit. And that's why we've moved her down to the A tier. Neferi's been in a really hot spot since her release and having great success in mid and top. We've kept her in the S tier for the mid lane for now, but with all the other fighters and bruisers rising back up to the top lane this week, we think she might not be quite so OP. Aatrox is back in the S tier with the buffs to fighter items and some interesting changes for his passive and W damage, now changed from physical to magical damage. Aatrox has been up and down and some patches been completely broken and then nerfed a bit too far, but it's those one tricks that can always abuse him and show just how scary he can be. Let's move down into the jungle now, and in the God tier we have Evelynn and Jarvan, and in the S tier we have Fiddlesticks, Ivern, Kayn, Kha'Zix and Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai survives this patch without any further nerfs and remains one of the best performing champions in the game despite Riot's recent attempts to bring her back down to normality. Elise's buffs to her passive and E moved her up from B to A, and that increased stun duration on the cocoon could be fantastic in the late game. Kayn's having his W nerfed and Kha'Zix's Q is being hit too, but these are fairly minor nerfs to be honest, so they are going to stay in the S tier. Kindred's had her E nerfed, but again despite this she's going to stay where she is in the A tier. Vi's buffs to her passive, E and ultimate bring her back up to the B tier alongside Xin Zhao, who's also had his passive healing increase too. But our jungle pick of the patch this week goes to Evelynn. She was originally going to get nerfed incredibly hard this patch, but those changes have been scrapped for now. And with so many of her S tier peers being hit, she's not exactly going to get any worse. This champion has insane burst and crazy snowball potential, and you may forget about her for a while, but then the next thing you know she pops out of her stealth and one-shots you without too much counterplay. So if you are looking for a jungler to abuse this patch, just keep abusing Evelynn. In game of course. Goredrinker has been buffed and Spear of Shojin has been changed too, and both of these will suit the ever-present Jarvan, who's been having a fantastic time so far this season. He's already pretty damn strong, and without nerfs he's only going to get even better. High elo players across the globe have also been loving this item path on him too, and showing how crazy it can be with endless EQ combos, durability and sustain too. So if you enjoy aggressive early ganks and engaging powerhouses, J4 is your man. Hecarim's got some pretty interesting changes to this patch with tons of tweaks to his mana costs, and it really seems like Riot are pushing for him to return to more of a bruiser nature rather than a one-shotting mirror mana machine. Either way, we are going to keep Hecarim in the A tier, but this is definitely one to keep an eye on, as it could honestly go either way. Some experimenting will definitely be needed to figure out what his best path is now, so let's wait and see. Over to the mid lane now then, and in the S tier we have Cassiopeia, Echo, Neferi, Neeko, Pantheon, Swain, Taliyah and Zed. The minor buffs to Orianna's W brings her back up into the B tier again to join Twisted Fate, who stays there even though his Q got buffed. Akshan's had some adjustments to his stats per level, but he's going to stay in the A tier. Our mid lane pick of the patch this week is going to have to be Swain. He's been pretty overlooked for a while with a fairly low pick rate, but those stats don't lie, and over recent patches, he's actually had one of the highest in the game for any mid laner. Swain is easy to play, he's got CC, he's got wave clear, he's an exceptional skirmisher and team fighter, and he fits into any team comp. Plus you can play him in a few different roles too, so a great option for those autofill games in solo queue. Lux's changes this week are aimed at buffing her in the mid lane without making her too OP as a support, increasing her passive damage based on level and reducing the cooldown of her Q, whilst nerfing her ease based damage too. She has been a little bit underwhelming for the last few patches, especially so with so many high damage mobility monsters running her down whilst dodging all of her damage. If we're being honest though, Lux will continue to be more of the same, maybe just with a bit more strength. She has great burst and wave clear, but needs those safe matchups to function. Vex is a champion you really don't see that often, but it is fairly surprising because in the right game she's diving into teams, one-shotting everybody and snowballing out of control. So far this split she's actually had a pretty impressive win rate though, so these buffs are only going to help people realise that she's really not that bad. Her Q damage and W's cooldown are being buffed this week, so let's see how much stronger these changes can make her. Zoe's another pick getting buffed this week, and again it may just seem a little bit surprising because good Zoe 1 tricks are absolutely terrifying to play against. Her E's sleep duration is now a little bit longer and reduces 30% flat magic resist too, which seems pretty huge considering this was only the case at the max rank previously. So that means more time to set up burst combos with the sleep duration and more damage when you land it. GG. Let's shimmy down to the bot lane now and take a look at those AD carries. And not too much really is going on here aside from some buffs to Immortal Shield Bow and nerfs to BT. In the S tier we have Ashe, Ezreal, Kai'Sa and Vayne. Samira moves up from B to A with her buff to her base health alongside the buffs to Shield Bow. Our AD carry pick of the patch this week just has to go to Ashe. She gets through this patch without any nerfs again, and with no changes to any of her more important items, she's going to continue to dominate the AD carry meta as a fantastic all-round pick to play. After a couple of buffs and a bit of an OP build got found out, she's been in the top tiers for a while now. She has solid poke and laning, she has incredible versatility in terms of which support she can play with, and she's also pretty blind pickable, despite her immobile nature. Ashe can either destroy lanes and carry the game if she gets fed, but if not, she can just farm it out, scout the jungle with her E to feed her team constant info, and of course press her ultimate when it counts. The perfect choice for a role that can struggle to be impactful. Vayne has been creeping her way up the tier list over recent weeks if you look at the stats from recent patches, and people have started to realise just how surprisingly strong she actually is. You've got the Shiv into Triforce build, which is currently her highest performing item path right now, but then also the classic pairing of Kraken and Rageblade into Blade of the Ruin King, for when you're playing against a juicy amount of tanks. She's got a lot of build versatility, and with her previous weaknesses of wave clear and laning being completely eliminated by some of these choices, it allows her to come out on top in so many games. Vayne is one of the most expressive AD carries in the game too, and you can seriously flex on her in those games where you do get a bit too fed. So if you are a fan of showing off, pick Vayne up again and give her a go, because you may be surprised at how good she can be. On a slightly different note, if you're fed up of playing AD carries altogether and you're good enough to play him, then Yasuo is an amazing choice in the bot lane. He's in a really good position at the moment in general, spiking incredibly hard with just one item in Kraken Slayer. So you can play him obviously in the solo lanes too, but it's actually the bot lane where his win rate is really impressive. He does work with some supports better than others though, with aggressive pairings like Thresh or Braum, or enchanters like Soraka or Lulu to keep him alive. Yasuo can be extremely punishing to play against, and against certain AD carries with no mobility, every time there's a wave, dash, dash, dash again through those minions with your E, pop that tornado and press R for easy kills every time. I mean, just think about it. Win wall against AD carries. GG, well played. Finally, let's move on to those supports and see how it's shaping up this patch. In the S tier, we have Blitzcrank, Janna, Maokai, Nautilus, Rakan, Rel, Soraka, Thresh, and Zyra. Xerath nerfs to his mana regen, passive mana surge, and W's mana cost move him down from S to A. Our support pick of the patch this week is Blitzcrank because the adjustments here just seem really positive overall. His base HP and MR are going up and his attack speed is going down. His passive max mana ratio is now 30% flat rather than 15 to 45% based on level. His W and E cost less mana, and his ultimate's passive on hit damage now has a max mana ratio too. Now to be honest, he's been in a great spot for a while and will always be good if you can land those hooks. But he has been a little bit overshadowed by champions like Rakan, Rel and Janna recently. We think these changes look great though, and if you have gone through Blitzcrank one-trick phases in the past, it's time to do it again. Janna continues to be a fantastic all-rounder with so much utility and protection that easily slots into literally any team comp. She offers so much in any team fight, from clutch shields to huge AoE healing with her ultimate. And as long as you don't get farmed in the early game by aggressive matchups or heavy ganks, you'll always be useful. She does kind of seem to have solo queue plot armor because she's been more than viable for such a long time. And with no nerfs looking inbound, just keep grinding away if you do enjoy playing her. Rel has had a fantastic season and especially Split 2 so far, continuously keeping her spot as one of the highest performing supports in the game, even though she has received a fair few nerfs since her initial changes. Rel's biggest problem in the past before was how situational she was, and how punishable she was when she missed those engages. Now though, she's so much more reliable. She offers crazy amounts of engage in CC, and she works with a lot of the strong AD carries in this meta. So that wraps up all the changes in patch 13.17 and how it affects our tier list for the majority of ranks. We based this tier list from silver all the way to diamond, but we also have a high elo tier list for D2+. So if you do want to check that out, head to our website by clicking the link in the description and see what the best players are abusing there. Thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you next time. Take care.